episode 87 of the Fixing Football podcast. I think that's right, 87.
87.
My name is Martin Naylor and I'm here with Liam O'Meara. Liam, how are you?
Very well, Martin. How are you?
I'm alright, we'll get onto that in a minute. First of all, I wanted to remind ourselves and new listeners, because we have a growing fan base, or listenership if you will. I don't know, fan base might be a strong word.
Audience is the word you're looking for.
What is this podcast for?
Primarily to talk about referee decisions involving Arsenal.
No, Liam. What? What is it for?
We address what we perceive to be problems in football and provide solutions to those problems. Granted, we don't always find the problems or solutions, but that's how we started this journey, Martin.
That's what we do.
That's what we do every week, on this journey.
But what this podcast is for is I would like this to become more than just me and you and whoever else wants to join us talking about
Arsenal,
VAR and Arsenal and Bolton Wanderers, VAR again, referees' addresses. There's more than that. I believe as a community, we can be more than just a chit-chat about the game that we all love and care about and spend so much time talking about and filling up WhatsApp groups about anyway. That I just wanted to reaffirm sort of our goal, what our niche is, what we are doing here in the first place.
Yes. Finding problems and fixing them on every single episode. Ever.
That's the goal.
Apart from the Christmas quiz, that didn't go that well, I don't think.
We got to have a week off. Anyway, back to fixing the world's problems. So, on the topic of fixing things, how are you doing?
What in general? Why was someone me?
You're on a personal growth journey.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I am continuing my weight loss. Things are going quite well. Another £1.5 pound off this week, so that's very good. Very pleased with that. So yeah, we continue. I'm eyeing up the potential of doing a 10k in June. I'm not 100% sure whether I can do that yet, but we'll see. I've sort of picked it as a potential to try and get moving again.
Which one would that be?
That's the Handball side one.
Well, that sounds nice and flat.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. I don't like running in city centres unless it's away from crime. So that appeals to me as well. So we'll see. I've not made a commitment on that yet. The idea was floated at me today, and I didn't tell them no, fuck off in Chewy and Evatt style straight away. So we'll give it some thought. What about you, Martin? How's your sort of mission 2025 going?
Well, I have signed up for a 10k. This is gonna be. I don't want to be one of these people who talks about it and shit. It's no Iron Man. We're quite lucky here in Bolton because we do get the UK Ironman competition on our doorstep once a year. I know people like to moan because there's some roads closed, but we are quite lucky that this becomes the centre of that world for a weekend. But yeah, it does then make any other little challenges that you set, like a 10k, quite insignificant, really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see it that way, but fair play to those iron men and iron women.
Iron people,
of which one of our hosts is an iron person, isn't he?
He is, and one of my other mates won it one year.
Oh yeah, who was that again?
George Martindale.
Oh yeah, we're not allowed to discuss that, are we?
Why? Look, not like that.
I don't know.
Luke's achievements in Iron Man are really, really good.
I wouldn't like it if I was an iron person, and the only other person I knew that was an iron person as well, I'd won it. I think that would bother me. But
I think completing one is reward enough. Anyway, signed up for a 10k. I have not done much running for a very, very long time, and since I stopped playing football. So that's my goal. I'm sick of my daughter making jokes about likening me to Peppa Pig's dad.
Oh, wow.
And I've been called Big Blue Fella because that's what Bluey calls her dad. So, Big Blue Fella and Daddy Pig aren't two names I want to be associated with for much longer.
No, Daddy Pig's not a nice one, is it?
No. That is his name, but it's not how I want to be known.
Fair.
So, that's inspired me. I've got some new gear. I ain't literally going to be that guy, all the gear, no idea.
I mean, you did have an idea how to run, surely.
I know how to run, but
I know Luke's just invested in a running coach, but I feel like the basics. I feel like I could muster. I think.
Yeah, but I've never been good at distance ever. I've always been naturally gifted and a lot faster than Luke over like 100 meters or something like that. Like a lot faster, embarrassingly so. But distance is not my thing. So
yeah,
I did the Bolton Park run on Saturday morning. I'm still sore. I'm still in a bad way from it.
Is Park Run 5K?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not good.
How long did it take you?
40 minutes, 43 minutes, something like that. Yeah, it wasn't good.
Okay.
I wasn't last. But anyway, I needed to start somewhere. Like I said, I'm not a good runner.
Where do they do that?
Leverhulme Park.
Okay. All right. Might get on that at some point then.
Yeah, it'd be good. So Manchester 10Ks in May, and that my goal is to actually finish it, not come last, not be overtaken by someone in a daft costume, and to set the new world record.
Yeah, I think Luke said that 2 of those were realistic, and I think I agree.
Well, that's some of us.
Yeah, someone in a daft costume will overtake you. That will happen.
No, they won't. This is where it becomes a combat sport for me.
Okay.
Anyway, let's talk about football because that's why we're here. Now we've addressed our personal issues. Where would you like to start? In fact, let's start with some transfer news. I've heard some interesting stuff. Man City are splashing the cash, which is interesting. Never known Pep to really go big in January. But it looks like they're going to be well over the €100 million mark at least. Which, I don't know, do you find that interesting at all?
Yeah, I think it's hard to talk about City doing anything right now without sort of the elephant in the room being the 130 odd charges it is now. So it's hard to... Anything ever happens at City, you look at it in that microcosm of, oh, they must know something, or this must mean that. And it was the same when Pep signed his contract, it's the same when Haaland signed his contract.
Yeah.
It was the same in the summer where they didn't really spend money, even though people thought, oh, that team is tiring a little bit. I don't think anyone expected this drop-off, though. But, so yeah, it's hard not to read into it, but the fact is, objectively, you stand away from it, they do need reinforcements, particularly in those defensive midfield positions. And so, yeah, it's not a huge shock, really. They probably could do on paper as well with that wide forward type to replace Julian Alvarez, who I don't think they wanted to sell, really, but were given an offer they couldn't refuse.
Isn't that where this Marmouche plays?
Yeah.
I'm going to call him Mamamouche.
Mamamouche. Yeah, that is very much where he plays. A sort of a sort of wing attack type player, of which there are plenty these days. So
I'm not familiar with him though. I don't know the German league too well outside of the big plays.
Yeah, I know the basics. He's been prolific, particularly last season. He was really, really good last season.
Frankfurt is coming from, innit?
Yeah, exactly. They had a brilliant season last year. So he's coming at that with a really good reputation. And the German league plays a lot like the Premier League in terms of its pace and that type. So obviously it's not as strong, but yeah, he's done very well in a very good Frankfurt team. And he pushed Harry Kane quite close last season. Well, not in the end, but for large periods of the season, he was the leading scorer in Germany. So, yeah, really good player.
Other transfer news. Arsenal still haven't signed a striker. That's fun. But a striker who is being bid on West Ham are back in for John Duran, and
I don't blame him.
Well, no, but Villa have rejected a second deal worth nearly 60 million.
Yeah.
60 million. So I think Villa are looking for something 70 plus, which again, don't blame them.
Not a million miles away from that West Ham. It'd be an interesting deal, that, because would he go? I think he probably would, because he would start every week, and I think that would be critical for him. But I think he'd want an exit strategy out of there, so it'd be interesting to see what the contract looked like in terms of release clauses and that type of stuff. I can see it happening. It nearly happened in the summer. He was very close to signing for them in the summer. And I can see why people think maybe he could get a better move, but is someone going to stump the money up now? And at the moment, he's not starting every week, and I think that will irk him.
So yeah, he's a quality player, Duran. There's just something about him that is like, I don't know. Maybe it's consistency, but he's not playing consistently. He's so young still. He doesn't carry himself like a youngster on the pitch. Is he 20 or 21 or?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about off-field issues with him. That dominates thing. I know quite a few Aston Villa fans, and you hear stories of him living in a locality and there being problems with him, like an absolute loose cannon at the highest sorts. So, and the way he spells John is unsettling to me. So, I think that's what is stopping maybe a big club bringing him in, because I think he'd want to be playing games, and he's not at that level yet to be starting consistently at the very top, I don't think.
Yeah.
Case in point is he hasn't managed to dislodge Ollie Watkins, who's a very good footballer. Of course he is. But if you're looking for a move to, like, let's say an Arsenal, then
you got to be pushing Ollie.
You've got to be starting above Ollie Watkins, yeah. So I think that, and yeah, he's 20 years old, so of course there's room to develop. But just because someone is that good and that young, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have the patience to wait like a Phil Foden, who will wait till he's 35 before he starts for Man City, whereas like a Cole Palmer won't do. So I think that's what's stopping big teams from making that push with him.
It's not bad shit.
Not that West Ham are a big team, of course.
Well, everyone is. It depends on who you ask. So any other transfer news catching your eye? Oh, last one is that I don't know how much legs this has, but that Newcastle were becoming increasingly keen on Victor Gyökeres.
I hadn't seen that, but
with one eye on Isak potentially leaving, but I guess that one will be summer anyway. But Newcastle are stepping up interest.
Well, I mean, that's the only reason that would happen, because the PSR implications of a deal of that magnitude to bring. I mean, Gyökeres is what, 85 million release clause,
something like that.
I think it's there. I think it's common knowledge. So, I mean, it makes sense that they would be considering a backup plan if Isak left. Even if Isak's giving the right noises, you never know if Real Madrid could come knocking. You just don't know of a player of that quality. So it makes sense that looking at options, again, just like you just said there, I can't see that happening now. I think the only way Gyökeres leaves Sporting is to Arsenal in January, but there's not much noise about it, so I don't see it happening either.
Not enough for my liking, mate. Bolton have made a new transfer, signed someone on loan today.
Yeah, they have. I can't say anything about him. Yes.
No, I don't even know what position he plays. I just saw it was young.
I can see the basics. I forgot what his name is.
Let's assume that most people who listen aren't Bolton Wanderers fans.
Yes. So I forgot his name.
Something Murphy.
Yes, that's it. Something Murphy. Irish centre-back. Left-footed centre-back who plays either left centre-back or left-back, which is an interesting transfer to make, because I think that indicates that we may actually be considering playing a back four, particularly with a recent injury to Santos, who could be out for a little bit of time now. I don't know what injury it is. He aggravated something and was taken off at half-time. But he was absolutely dog shit in that game, so, whatever. So it could be the signal that we are potentially looking at going at a flat back four. Watch this space, I think, for when does this go out? Tomorrow. So Tuesday it goes out. We're talking now in the future again. So in Bolton's lineup tonight, watch if we play a flat back four. We will see.
Yeah. Apologies for that mashed potato of a sentence then. Liam still hasn't figured out that this is recorded and then it is edited and then it is put out the day after. Let's just get that out there. Are we on board, Liam?
Yes, we are.
Know?
But that is our signing mine. Something Murphy from Ireland.
Something Murphy from way up there, Newcastle. Listen, what about fixing the January transfer window? How's about that?
In what sense? What's wrong with it?
I don't know. For me, nothing happens until the last week anyway. You got to be some special kind of smart to think, oh, let's sign someone and get the use of January out of them instead of waiting for 4 weeks and then losing a whole month of the season when we needed him actually on the 1st of Jan, not the 31st of Jan.
I think the biggest fundamental problem with the January transfer window is exactly what we were talking about with the Newcastle situation. Because Newcastle cannot sell Isak now. Because they've got top 5 aspirations, because that's almost certainly what it's going to be now.
Yeah.
They've got top 5 aspirations. If they sell Isak, it puts a massive dent on them. And there's no guarantee that they get Gyökeres. Because, yes, there's a release clause, but who's to say someone else doesn't match it at the same time? So this is where everything then delays. So Arsenal may ask the question, but Newcastle just go, it's not for sale. Talk in the summer. We'll have the conversation, but we'll have it in the summer. And I think that's what happens. And then what happens is that trickles down through the whole market. So nothing moves at the top because of that. And then essentially each individual team has their own targets that then loan options don't become available and that type of stuff. So very little moves because of the time restraint on it, I think.
Well, that's sort of waiting for the one move to happen. I think it might have happened with the you can say his name a lot better than me, but the Georgian lad who's just moved from Napoli to PSG, Kvaratskhelia. Is that right?
Yeah, Vata is what people will say. Don't know, trying to think. It's Varshakelia.
Varshakelia, right? Yeah. Anyway, he's very good, but that is maybe the catalyst because then that opens up potential loan outs for. I know Kolo Muani had been shipped around. He's meant to be going to Juventus. There's talk of, is it Bradley Barcola being shipped around as well, potentially on loan at places. If one of them's going to Juventus, that means it might be a spot opening up for Vlahovic to start moving around, or other strikers or midfield, however you want to play it. But that is the sort of move that begins a trickle. Yeah,
the Serie A is quite interesting at the moment because there's a proper title race. Although Napoli had a massive result last night. 2 days ago. They won away at Atalanta 3-2. Really good game. McTominay on the score sheet again. Looking $1 million out there. But they've gone 6 points clear now, Napoli. And that's with selling Kvaratskhelia. So they've now got a space open, money in the pocket, and they're very much in a title race with Antonio Conte, who's not going to not want to spend that money to get a replacement in there, which is it's going to be very interesting who they bring in that position, I think.
They also have a returning Victor Osimhen who they might want to get rid of.
Well, this is it, yeah. This is it, because Lukaku's doing the job for them. Look, so I think people wondered what that situation would be, especially with being Conte. Would he try it? But Conte is loyal as it comes to Romelu Lukaku, and Lukaku's doing the business for Napoli. It'd be some league title to win that without considering the players that have left Napoli to then go and win it again for a second time in 3 years. It'd be some achievement. But we'll see. Yeah, it's quite good, Serie A.
No, Juventus are like 6, but they still haven't lost a game.
Yeah. I think at the moment, obviously I do watch quite a bit of other football. I think Serie A is the best league to watch that's not the Premier League at the moment. In terms of the games that are on there, the quality of the players, there's a lot better level of play there than there has been in a long time. I'd say probably the second best team in Europe are probably Inter, in my view, at the moment. And obviously they're not quite at the levels that they need to be. So yeah, it's really good Serie A if you're looking for other football to watch.
Was that it was into Napoli beat, weren't it, the other night?
Yeah.
Inter were great. they played City right at the beginning of the Champions League, and I think they drew at the Etihad.
Yeah, they did.
And then they beat
1-0,
us.
or was it 0-0, something like that?
0-0 sounds right. I'm not 100% sure, but it was a draw. What was the other one? They beat us at San Siro 1-0. We played well, and they were just really good. Very impressive, because I thought we would have at that point in the season, we'd definitely have the legs on them and stuff. But yeah, they were really impressive. So
yeah, really good team.
I agree with that. They'd be up there for one of the picks to go and win the whole thing, I think, for the Champions League.
Yeah, it's quite open this year, I think, Champions League. It's quite open. I actually, in my head, see you as right up there for the Champions League. I'm not just saying that either. I think there's no outstanding team. Real aren't the same with Mbappe in there, and that's mad to say, but they're struggling to find that groove a little bit and that balance.
It's mad, the Real Madrid thing, because the Vinicius apparently isn't playing great. Mbappe hasn't settled well. Bellingham's overrated. Valverde's hit and miss, and they've just gone top of the league. But again, that's quite a tight top three.
Yeah, I watched the Super Classico, and they started amazing. Yeah,
I'm not getting on board with the Super Classico.
Yeah, sorry, but I watched a bit of it, and when I watched the game, they were good in bits, Real, but Barcelona were just deadly in that game, and then they just strangled the game away from Real Madrid, who started really well, actually. But
yeah,
I think Ancelotti's confirmed he's leaving today.
Oh, really?
Apparently, I've seen that report. I've not seen it in the bigger places, more just like Spanish sort of rings, but we'll see. I think that's a topic for another day. The Real Madrid and Barcelona and what's going on there.
Could get Zidane coming back for a third time. That's what he usually does.
Xabi Alonso, I think, is the most likely, I would say.
That's not a bad shout. Right. Any ideas for fix? I know we moved, but I like the idea of fixing something about the January transfer window. Making it shorter, would that help? Make it a week?
I think a lot of the restrictions in the transfer window come from PSR at the moment. So I don't think it's a January issue as well. I think PSR means that you're less likely to take a punt on someone in January to add into your squad because you're so restricted that you can't afford to make wrong decisions. So I think that plays a major part in it as well. And
maybe, but still,
you don't want to be scrambling.
Stuff always happens. Like on the last 2 or 3 days of January, it gets mad.
I mean, are you a fan of the January window in general? Do you think it adds value to the game? Do you think it's fair? Do you think it's worth having?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I don't know. Everyone likes new shiny things. It gives people the opportunity for a bit of a refresh. I don't know though. Would it be fun to go a whole season with that team that you built from the summer? Maybe.
Well, yeah. There's schools of thought in there that you shouldn't be able to change your manager and you should have the same team all season. I don't subscribe to that, by the way, but I've heard those sort of TalkSport types sort of suggest that before. All those types that think you should never sack your manager unless it's their team's manager. Then they think that you should be able to sack the manager. But we'll go into sacking managers in a bit. But but yeah, I think it serves a purpose because I think if you're a player not getting a game as well, you should have the option of being able to.
Yeah, there's that. Players' careers are short, really, and you can't be wasting whole years of your life if you can get out in 6 months.
Do you think it being longer would help?
The window?
Yeah. I
think being any longer becomes redundant then, and you might as well just not have one at all and just let people move.
That's what it was when we were growing up. There was no window, was there? It was a transfer deadline was like in March or something.
I remember, I think Arsenal signed Dennis Bergkamp in like November or something, something weird like that. Yeah,
I remember growing up, sort of transfer deadline day, sat in there watching like teletext, and you just see a name pop up and it'd be done. Like that's how you'd ring up those numbers, wouldn't you? Like team talk. Yeah. But I remember just sat there watching CFAX or teletext and it'd pop up like Bob Taylor, Bolton, West Brom to Bolton. 95k, and that's how you found out. You would literally just be sat watching that refresh.
Remember the teletext days, watching some scores. I remember one. I think it was a game when Shearer scored 5. We were watching it at Euros. We were just watching the teletext before there was the Gillette Soccer Saturdays of the world. And I'm pretty sure Shearer scored 5 in a match. And we were watching it on that. I don't remember who it was against or what the score ended up being.
Only there's a way we could find out.
Yeah. Can't Google mid-podcast though.
No, we can't. It's
very silly.
Yeah, it is. Unprofessional.
So, you've no ideas how to fix January. I don't know what I'd do about January. I just feel like the month drags on. I know people want to play games with each other and stuff, but I don't know. I feel like if they made it shorter, it would make everyone's lives a lot easier. Have a window. Just even I'd make it shorter, probably.
Yeah, I think that's not a terrible shout. Yeah.
There we go. 2 weeks.
I think it's just one of those imperfect things. I know. At the start we're like we always fix things, but I think the January transfer window is just going to be in its nature imperfect, and it's better it being there than it's not. And there's not really many alternatives, I don't think, that work unless you're fundamentally ripping a new sort of set of rules. And I just think it's the best version of what it could be, to be completely honest. So we should be the Sometimes Fixing Football podcast.
This is where having a community and a voice for the people. Who knows?
Is that what we are?
No, that's not what we are right now. But it's what we could be. Who might listen to this and think, I agree with them, or I've got an idea, and then that just becomes something that snowballs because all fans want to get behind it. All fans, doesn't have to be for your club or anything new.
No, maybe the transfer list should exist. Like it should actually be there.
Like a publicised thing.
Publicised transfer list,
like on Football Manager, when you can just
like on
go on the transfer list.
I'm trying to curb my addiction on Football Manager a little bit. I've got a bit addicted to it, so I'm trying to wean myself off it a little bit at the moment.
Playing games ain't going to get you to that 10k, mate. You need to get
out. I mean, well, no, but also, I can be quite obsessive about things, so I need to knock the Football Manager on the head for a bit, I think.
Right, let's have 5 minutes, then we'll talk some more football. And we're back. Before we get stuck into the previous weekend and week, because there were some midweek games as well that we've not podcasted since. What did you make of the Haaland contract? I know you mentioned it at the beginning, but the 9.5-year deal that he's got.
It's hard to. Again, I don't want to repeat myself because it's hard to not consider the charges and things like that with it. I don't really. It's the longest contract in Premier League history, isn't it? And for someone who's, I thought it was universally regarded that wanted to go to Real Madrid at some point in the not too distant future. It didn't really make sense to me. But if he's happy at City and wants to sign a long-term contract, then I suppose that's prerogative. I imagine there's various. There's no release clause. Apparently, there's no release clause. I
haven't heard of one, but I believe. God, you would think that there must be one with a contract that length. I just see it as, listen, we'll give you whatever you want a week, a month, a year, and we're just protected in case shit happens or someone wants you. We want you to keep scoring a bazillion goals a season for us. You're the best in the world. Here's whatever you want for as long as you want.
What I don't get about it, and there must be exit clause. This is why I don't get why they said there's no release clause. Because let's say worst case scenario for Man City, and again, no one knows anything, so it's just speculation. Let's say worst case scenario for Man City, and they do get a 100-point deduction, and then relegate the following season. His wages are going to be. I'd be surprised if they're not north of 500,000 a week now.
Yeah,
So
the numbers I saw were 400 plus, but even his transfer fee was secretly inflated, so it wouldn't surprise me if his wages
allegedly.
are.
So we'll. I don't see how they would pass Championship PSR just with his contract if they're in that division. So it just doesn't think so. There must be exit clauses. There just has to be. But I suppose it's good that he's committed to them at this point where they're at a low. You know, that is a lift for Man City. But I must admit, I was surprised.
Surprising. That length is crazy. The fact that, I mean, he's 20. What is he? 24.
Yeah. This is his career. That's his career contract. Yeah.
He's going to be like, I don't know. Part of the cynic in me thinks, what if he just decides he don't like football for the next 5 years?
Yeah. The bit. I mean, again, it must be such a complex contract because what would his contract be worth in 4 years' time? Like, let's say he did move to either Italy, where the tax threshold is lower, or he moved to Real Madrid. He could earn north of that. So it must have a rising clause. Well, not must. I'll be surprised if it didn't have some kind of clause for it to rise in cost. I don't know. It's just such an enormous amount of time that it must be such a complex deal for Haaland to agree to it.
Imagine it being 400 basic plus, every 10 goals, every 20 goals. It's extra.
Oh, there will be performance elements to it, I imagine, but it's just like, does it go up in 3 years' time?
With inflation, it should go up.
Well, yeah.
In 10 years' time, when he's 35, that might be like championship level wages.
Well, maybe, yeah, but exactly. But the thing is, it'll be football wages rise faster than inflation, don't they? So it'll have to be some quick degree of thing. But I don't know. Just caught everyone off guard. I think that contract. I didn't hear anything about it until it was announced.
No, that's true. Right, let's get into the week. Let's start with Arsenal for a minute.
Okay, good.
So, prior to this weekend even, we had the North London derby. Fantastic win. Great performance. It sounded amazing to watch. It was great. And everything was back positive because Liverpool had dropped points. We'd closed the gap slightly. And then we get to the weekend and Liverpool snatch a win in 91st minute against Brentford. And then we go into our game against Villa at 5:30 with that on the back foot and throw away a 2-goal lead. I mean, what are your thoughts on it and the match and us at the moment?
You're quite inconsistent, aren't you? And it's quite worrying to throw away a 2-goal lead at home, I think.
Yep.
I think that would concern me because that's not just about do they need a striker X, Y, Z. It's not really about that. We've talked quite a few times about whether you look like a team that's going to win the league. And I've never really thought it at any point this season. To be watching you, it just feels like something, not just a striker, but it feels like there's a rhythm missing in there. And you could point to Saka, and there's probably an element of truth in that. But you just seem to have lost a bit of your zip across the pitch. Like the ball doesn't seem to be moving around as much. It doesn't seem like Odegaard's orchestrating the play in the same way. I don't really blame him for that. I think that the team just looks a little bit rigid, looks a little bit not fearful, just maybe bored almost. Like
there's some fairness in that comment, I think. I saw it described today as a sucker punch in a season of sucker punches, and I just feel like it's just another one, and probably one too many now for us to get our hands on the title. That us winning the league is now dependent on Liverpool losing probably 3 more matches and us not.
Oh, definitely 3.
Well, yeah, definitely. But that would. I'm saying 2.
You'd have to be perfect. You'd have to be perfect for them to win.
That's 2 matches plus us beating them at Anfield, the third to last game of the season. At the end of March. Oh, sorry, May, June, April. May.
April.
At the end of April, we play Liverpool at Anfield. That either secures them the title or Who knows? In our current state, probably it's already done by then.
Yeah. Look, it can change. And you've got to keep in there. I think you do need some freshness in the team. I can see why Arteta's not only focusing on a striker in players that you're linked with, because I do think you need some fresh. I think we talked about last week, a right winger that's a long-term Saka stand-in that maybe gives you a bit more variety and a bit more flexibility with your tactics and not doing the same thing every week.
Yeah.
Because I think you were hoping Sterling would do that, but he's not done it. He's just not been good enough. You can see why Chelsea have palmed him off now. Whatever. I think it was worth a punt at the wage that you got him at. So you need someone in there. So I can see why he's trying to freshen things up a little bit. I don't think it's over. I think it's tough for you from here on in because Liverpool just keep winning. However, there's a fragility, I think, at some point that we might see with Liverpool.
Yeah.
I don't. It's not Man City you're chasing in the previous years.
Liverpool don't look like that indestructible, but they do look very good, and they just look better than everyone else at the moment. That's just the truth.
Very
of
much,
it, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very much worthy champions if they do go and win it.
Yeah, totally agree.
No one would dispute that, but I don't think it's a done deal. But you definitely need to start not throwing away 2-goal leads at home against. Yes, it's Villa who have been good the last couple of years, but they are patchy at the moment.
That's a top tip from Almira. I didn't like the way Villa celebrated that like a win, and it was more they were just happy at us dropping points rather than them happy that they'd got a draw.
Yeah, but I get it, but that's kind of what the Premier League's about, isn't it? These teams play against each other all the time. No one really likes each other.
Yeah.
It's that's kind of what makes it good. That it is a bit like that. So I appreciate it's hard to be on the other side of it, and yeah, it feels a little bit petty and annoying, but you know, that's what the Premier League's about, really. It's what being a football fan's about, really. It's more about you stopping them being happy than you being happy. That's kind of what football's about.
It was annoying. Plus, I was DJing in Liverpool on Saturday night, and I was really not in the mood to be speaking to anyone.
Oh, I know.
It was not fun. Listen, one big talking point in the Arsenal match. Go. The disallowed goal in the 89th minute. Can I, just before you go hilarious, let's have a laugh. Did you think it was handball?
Right. Can I ask before we get into this? I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to do the Luke of answering your question with a question for you. So I was going to ask this at the beginning, but I only made an Arsenal joke. So, are you? Because you said to me, make sure you watch this replay. Are you about to suggest to me that this hits his stomach and there's no handball at all in it?
Yeah, I am. And I'm not. Listen, I'm not. I had quite an unpleasant experience with a few Liverpool fans on X over the weekend, and you know, I wasn't even crazy angry about it. I honestly don't see it. But I don't know if it's like one of them. Do you remember the dress? Is it green and green and blue, or was it white and gold? I think it's like that because I swear my life, every time I've watched this thing, it looks like it hits his stomach to me. But I can see how people would think it hits his arm. There's no way it's definitive. There is, and you might say, yeah, it is definitive because that dress is obviously white and gold. Some people were convinced it was green and blue. I swear on my life, I've watched this replay 100 times, mate, and it just looks like it's his stomach for me. And the most impressive thing is that VAR cleared this, checked it, and it was done in about 10 seconds.
I'm not getting into that again. I'm not getting sucked into that debate again. You have to, because you have to look at it a long time if you think it's important. I'm not getting sucked into that. What I will say is, I think it's very
winning goal in the last minute is quite important.
Yeah, but he might have made the decision in that time. I'm of the view it hits his arm because it hits his arm. But
I'm of the view it hits his stomach because it is his stomach. So that's not a good argument. I'm not arguing it for the crack. Like, I'm not saying it his mum. It's something, and there's a debate of a few inches, maybe.
let's say, for argument's sake, that it touched his arm. Is that then handball?
Yeah.
So any faint touch of the arm, you're saying shouldn't be a goal?
No, not anything.
I am of that view, by the way. When it comes to it, not because it's Arsenal, but I've long held this view of handball that I don't think you should get a goal using your arm in any way. So
no, yes, that's
and
it
I
sounds
quite
obvious
liked,
when you put it like that.
Yeah, I quite liked the old handball rule that people were against. You know, like handball in the build-up. I actually quite agreed with that because I don't think you should benefit at all from it hitting your arm and scoring a goal, even if it's accidental. I think that's fundamentally unfair. A
bit like the Joel Linton, Anthony Gordon one.
Yeah, or that one that was it last season? It was one of the relegated teams, wasn't it?
Believe you, yeah.
Yeah, you remember it was in the build-up. I can't remember it. It might have been Sander Berge for Sheffield United. Yeah, it were Sander Berge for Sheffield when he was at Sheffield United in the build-up, and it was about a good 10 seconds before they scored. He tackled it, hit his arm in the tackle. He's then gone on taking 2 players off, put it in the box, and score. Yes, very unlucky, but you can't score from it hitting your arm. That's just fundamentally not the game. But
I agree, especially if the ball does change direction. Especially a brush of the arm is very hard, especially when it's down by your side and stuff. It's hard.
I'm not going to ridicule you on this one, mine, and I do like to do that. I'm not going to ridicule you on this one.
You'll save that for the WhatsApp group, I'm sure.
No, I've not because I knew where you were going with this yesterday when you said to me, make sure you watch it. And I at that point you put in made I thought I know what he's going to say. He's going to say his stomach. So I've been ready for this for about 48 hours. But I've watched it a few times, and for me, it's his arm. But I can see why. What I will say is, it's very unlucky. It's unlucky, and it's the kind of thing that when you're in things aren't going your way, it kind of happens.
I would really like Kai Havertz to come out and tell us that. No, he might just say, especially in the heat of the moment, he might have said after getting 9.
9.
Yeah. But I would like him to just say, yeah, I hit my hand, but whatever.
I don't think you're going to get that closure here, Martin.
I don't think I am. Listen, I'm fine. I'm not as mad as it people may like, especially on X. I just don't.
Are you suggesting that the Arsenal fan base is reactive, Martin?
The Arsenal fan base have been very active. I like a lot of the sort of the goody two shoes Arsenal fans like, yep, it's handball, we drew. Get on with it, like trying to take fans. Of all people I was arguing with, it was Liverpool fans. Like they were like, "Yeah, it's clear handball, mate." And listen, I just didn't see it. I don't see it. It looks like it's his stomach to me, and it's definitely not clear and obvious.
I think you're talking the two most partisan online fan bases there, and I potentially wouldn't use that as a guide as to where they think it is. But
another thing, I'm going to end it on this because I'm sure you're. I'm sure I can guess what your opinion will be, and I can feel the eye rolls coming already. But twice in that match, a Villa player who was already on a yellow card kicked the ball away and delayed the restart of a match when we're trying to get a winner. The referee was the same referee who sent off Declan Rice against Brighton. Same stadium, and apparently Declan Rice left him with no choice. Now, all of a sudden, he's got a choice to make, and he doesn't send anyone off. Not that I want to see people sent off. I just want consistency, Liam. That's all I'm after. Anyway, speaking of things that are inconsistently consistent, Bolton Wanderers are back to being proper poo.
Yes. Again, I think I said last week that I'm running out of things to say, and that so that's still the case. I don't know what we're doing here. The place was a toxic mess on Saturday. It was horrific. Yeah, like I think at the start of the game, people were quite all right, and then we conceded after about 5 minutes to a team second bottom in the league, who have got some like 3 points on the road all season. Like we concede almost immediately. I mean, then there's a bit of moaning, but people still kind of behind the team a little bit. Like, come on, like it's still early. We start to play a bit better, and then we get an equaliser, through John McAtee. And then within a minute, we concede again, and then the place just turned. Like, people have just had enough. It needs a change so much. And I've seen quite a bit of negativity towards Bolton fans this week for the way that it was. But I think he's been given quite a lot of slack here, Evatt. Like, I think he's got off quite easy. I predicted this in June on here, that if we had a bad start, it would get bad. And it's taken longer than I expected, to be completely honest. He's had a fair crack at the whip, I think. But the issue is there just seems to be no accountability. Whenever he doesn't talk with any kind of humility, which I don't think helps him. It's never. It's always me against the world, and I believe in myself. I'll get us, which is great. Don't get me wrong, confidence is great, but there's just no humility. There's no, and I don't think that helps him. And I think he comes across so badly. But he's probably at a position now where no matter what he says, people think he's a dick. And I think that in itself just shows where we are now, where he's lost the fan base. Like, I don't think this. I think even winning 5 games in a row now, and then losing the 6th, it'd just be exactly the same, because people. Yeah. I think there's a lot of Bolton fans now. You leave little comments like, "Oh, I hope," Ever will say things online of, Bolton fans are behind the team, not to see us lose. Well, I hope not. The issue Ian Evatt has is, I genuinely do believe that there are fans out there that not necessarily want Bolton to lose, but they want him to lose now. And I think that's where we are now. And I just don't know what we're doing. Like, what? There's no indication this is going to turn around. No. We've got a game tonight against Charlton, which, yes, Charlton are probably slightly underperforming for where they'd like to be as well, but I'd be shocked if we get 3 points tonight, to be completely honest.
Okay. Right.
But apart from that, everything's good. I've got a fix of Bolton.
Yeah.
By the way. Yeah, it's quite a simple one, actually, Martin.
Let's think out of the box for a second. What could it be?
I reckon we should sack Ian Evatt.
I think that'll have a bit of traction, that one.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say it's an original idea.
We'll find.
But yeah, there's a fix for you.
Right. Speaking of bad teams at the moment, another manager who's come out and criticised his own team crazily, calling them the worst ever, is Ruben Amorim. We're on Man United now. And I don't want to go crazy because Luke's
Man United expert's not here.
But what did you make of that comment? Apart from it being absolutely true.
It's an interesting. I didn't like it, to be honest, because I just feel like it's no accountability on himself. He's almost saying it because he's not really had chance to work his magic yet in his mind. But he's been there quite a while, and for me, he's not trying to make the best out of what he's got. So yes, he may have this idea of a long-term plan, and this system is what we're going to be playing long-term, but doesn't help him in the short term. A different manager playing a different system could have beaten Brighton at home, in my view. Yeah. I feel like they're getting better, I think, with that system. And Brighton are a good team, so I think they only lost 2 games all season. So they're a good team, Brighton. So it's not a huge shock that they go there and win. Well, they've done it 3 years in a row now. So that's not a shock. I just don't like that lack of accountability on his end. It's almost like he's not ingratiating himself as part of the team in that. He's almost saying, this isn't on me. And I don't like managers that do that, personally.
It's very hard to be, given that he's not brought anyone in yet. No. I believe there's some PSR issues in their way before they can make any moves. Do you see anything or much happening at Man United? Because I don't hear a lot of rumours.
That's the absolute priority, because they're playing a system that relies on wing-backs without having any wing-backs.
Yeah, I know they've been linked with... is it Nuno Mendes at PSG?
There's quite a few they're linked with. I think that Ahmad's almost given them a problem because he was the wing-back solution, but he's their best player. So he's playing in that. He's now been promoted in a sense to one of those positions behind the striker, hasn't he? But even I don't think he really is a long-term solution in that position, because it's not really what Amorim wants in there. He wants sort of more sort of mischievous type.
Yeah, other than Garnacho and the sort of ongoing noise around Rashford, I've not heard a lot of rumours about, and it sounds like this has to be the case, that people have to move before they can go and buy. The money
That's the
machine
noise.
is Man United.
Yeah,
so,
that's the noise. I'm not sure much I believe. I think I said this before. I'm not sure much I believe in their PSR issues, but we're told that they're there. I think it's a bit of a selling ploy. I think they'd sell anyone. To be completely honest, I think if they got the right price at anyone, they'd sell. I think there's players that they'd rather not. I'd put Ahmad, Mazraoui, probably Garnacho in that with the players that they'd rather not sell. But I think if they got a right price at anyone, they'd sell.
Yeah.
The butcher.
He can go. I nearly said another name for him then, but I'll keep that one to myself. But right. So that's all our teams boxed off. United pretty poor again. Really annoyed that we went out of the FA Cup to them. To that team. But it is what it is. Maybe we'll get a trip to Dubai out of it and that could sort our season out.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything else we need to wrap up with the Premier League, with football in general?
I think we're good for a week, Martin. But I do think we need to get stuck into Barcelona maybe at some point. I think that's a topic we've not covered yet, and I think we need to get stuck into that.
I think it's because every time we think about something else crazy happens in there. I feel like it could be its own like soap documentary thing going, like as if Netflix were just constantly running a show about Barcelona. I feel like
I find them fascinating, me, because I just do. But I don't want to give away all my good stuff now. So we'll stick a pin in it. But I think that's one we should look at.
Okay. So yeah, we are closing in on 100 episodes. Hopefully going to be doing some form of Q&A style episode and a bit of a reflective party.
With a spread on.
We'll have to get someone to get a spread put on. Good spread.
Mm.
So if anyone would like to be involved in that, please get in touch. You can find all the information at fixingfootballpodcast.com. All the information for our other stuff is on all our socials. You can find all that stuff there as well. Thank you everyone for listening, and we will be back again same time-ish next week. And we'll catch you on the next one. See you later, mate.
Goodbye, mate, and goodbye, everyone.